right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So the Jets have back-to-back victories here. Obviously, Bengals, then a bye week, and then the Cleveland Browns. So we'll see if we can keep the train rolling, right? Obviously, the defense looked great. Special teams looked great. The offense was clunky for the majority of the game outside of Breece Hall. Breece Hall was awesome. But hopefully we get some positive news regarding Garrett Wilson and the whole right knee situation, along with Adonai Mitchell coming back. Should be good. My assumption is he should be good to go for next week. But in this one, I wanted to talk about the potential future at the Jets quarterback position, Fernando Mendoza. Now, not only did Darren Mougey just go to Indiana, Penn State, but Rick Spielman was there. Supposedly, it was a pretty solid-sized contingent from the Jets to go out and watch Mendoza. Now, my first reaction to it is like, the sky's blue. Yeah, this team is projected to have a top 3, top 5 draft selection. We don't have the long-term option at the quarterback position. If Mendoza's playing, if these guys are playing, yeah, I want my general manager, I want the heavy hitters, the top dogs within the organization to go out to these games if they can, because it's not like they're just showing up and watching and leaving. They're talking to people, they're talking to coaches, they're talking to people around the program. They're seeing, pre-game rituals. They're seeing how, players act on the sidelines. How do they handle adversity? Like, there's a lot that goes into an actual, a general manager taking the time out of the busy schedule to go attend a game. And if it's more than just a GM, if it's a GM and others, it's a pretty big deal. But again, everyone in the world knew that the Jets had interest in Fernando Mendoza. This is not shocking in the slightest. Right now, if we take a look at Mendoza and his fit with the Jets, I think it's honestly great. You look specifically at where Fields struggles in the most. Processing, his slow release, and accuracy. Fernando Mendoza quite literally is the opposite. He has an extremely quick release. He is very good at diagnosing what's happening in front of him, and he's extremely accurate. I think Mendoza is the most accurate quarterback in college football as a whole. Personally, my pro comparison for Mendoza is Sam Bradford, right? Not the the Bradford that we all know as of late, like that one random season with the Cardinals. But if we think back to like when Sam Bradford won the Heisman, just him as a draft prospect coming out pre-injury, he was just someone that had just absolute, like, he could throw the needle, right? Layering throws, short, intermediate, deep. He can get the football out of his hands quickly. He had a lightning fast release at the collegiate level, and he was a smart guy that could win from the pocket. Mendoza has a lot of the same characteristics as Sam Bradford. I've seen a lot of Kirk Cousins comparisons. Personally, I just don't really agree with those. When you go back and you remember Cousins back at Michigan State, his time with Washington, he was like this gunslinger. He was someone who was not afraid to really put the football in harm's way, to take chances down the field. I remember like his senior year in college, he had like a 62-63 completion percentage with 10 picks. Like, he was not afraid to really launch the ball down the field. The big thing with Cousins was he was a very smart player and mechanically awesome. So he can pick up a complicated system, hence why he got drafted to Washington, and Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, that whole crew. Sean McVay was a part of that staff. LaFleur, I believe, was also a part of that staff. Anyway, Cousins was able, he had the overall brain power to handle a complicated system and run a West Coast style pretty effectively, pretty easily. But it wasn't really until Minnesota, the Minnesota Vikings days, where Cousins' games started to become a little bit more polished, right? The INTs went down, the decision-making got better, and overall, he just played a more efficient style with the Minnesota Vikings. With Mendoza, I don't really see this quarterback that is willing to just launch the ball down the field because someone's down there, right? When I watch Mendoza, I just see the extreme accuracy. I see a really good body type, 6'5", 225, to be able to hang in the pocket, see over offensive linemen, diagnose the defense, and get the football out of his hands quickly. Mendoza, I think, as a leader, is fantastic. I mean, you listen to the coaches, you listen to the players. His attitude, his personality, I think, is a big reason why the team is 10-0 on the season. I mean, it's been awesome. But one of my favorite things about Mendoza, yes, of course, we could talk about the release, the accuracy, all these things, but it's the intangibles, right? Who goes to Eugene, Oregon and beats the Ducks in the regular season? Who does that? Who goes to Iowa in the same season and beats the Hawkeyes? and goes to Penn State and beats the Nittany Lions in Happy Valley. He has some big time road wins. I understand that Penn State fired Franklin and whatnot, but still, these are very difficult environments to play in. Very difficult. And then it's not to say that, he only has a couple, a handful of games under his belt, a handful of wins. No, he is blowing teams out. Michigan State blowout, Maryland blowout, the FCS opponent, who is it? Illinois State. I believe it was Illinois State. 70-point blowout. UCLA, another blowout. Mendoza has just been on fire, and they do have a lot of talent. They have multiple players on the team that are going to be headed to the NFL for sure, no doubt about it. And of course, we have to credit Cignetti. Absolutely awesome story. If I was a Hoosier fan, I would be, especially after his recent extension. But the point is, I love Mendoza. I really, really do. Here's the problem, though. I think you need the first overall pick to land him. I can't, because look, we all know quarterbacks, once they stop playing, everyone's stock starts to rise. Think like even last season with Jackson Dart. Who's talked about going in the third round at the Senior Bowl in late February, right before free agency is kicking off. Third round, Jackson Dart. We saw where he went. We had the Giants trading up back into the first. You have pro days and private workouts and the combine, right? You have all these things, different situations to get your face out in front of the media. Mendoza's going to kill all that stuff. Now, who knows? Maybe when the college football playoff rolls around, Indiana loses a game and Mendoza doesn't play well. I don't think it matters all that much. Of course, this is kind of an early projection here, but when I watch Mendoza play, man, I just think, especially in this quarterback class too, where a lot of these guys, in my opinion, are going to be going back to school. Nothing's for sure yet. We're going to talk about some of these other guys and just kind of my honest belief on what I think truly is going to happen. But I think Mendoza's going for sure, like 100% top 5. And I'm pretty sure he's going to be a top 3 pick, depending on what happens with Ty Simpson here. Now, again, I think for the Jets, who I think right now would be slated in a pick 5th, because of the win yesterday, and yeah, the Saints won and stuff like that, but the Giants lost again. The Titans were on a bye week. They currently hold the first overall pick. They won't be going quarterback, but truthfully, I don't really believe that there is a player in this class that's worth the number 1 overall pick. I mean, I would argue Arvell Reese is the best player in this entire draft. I love Reese. Stand-up linebacker, edge rusher. I mean, you want to talk, and I understand that the reputation with these hybrid types of players is not the best. You've had guys that are, projected like, oh my gosh, they could check a bunch of different boxes, they could play multiple positions, and then they don't work out at the NFL level. I know people always reference Isaiah Simmons as one of those players, but when I watch Arvell Reese, he's like a defensive coordinator's dream. And I think there's probably different defensive coordinators would have different ideas on how to use him, but he can rush the passer. His closing speed is incredible. He can line up literally as a Mike linebacker. QB spy, amazing. Just an athletic freak. Like he reminds me, like he has Von Miller types of tendencies. But is Arvell Reese really going to be going that high in this draft? I'm not sure. Personally, I don't have any doubts about Arvell Reese going top 10. I think that's pretty much set in stone. Even though it's early, but when I watch Reese, I think he is amazing. I think the closer we get to the NFL draft, the more we're going to start talking about him as a potential top 5 guy. But regardless, if you're the Titans, Ruben Bain, I don't really view Ruben Bain as like a number 1 overall pick. But yeah, it should be interesting to see who lands that first overall pick. But the whole, idea here is that I don't know if the Jets finish with like the 5th or the 6th or the 7th overall pick when it's all said and done. If they pick up another win or two down the stretch, I don't think Mendoza is going to be on the board, and that's the whole thing. And so you can definitely argue, okay, do you trade up? Do you maybe go with the quarterback that's on the board, QB3 or whoever it may be? Now, if that's the case, right, the Jets are at like 6, 7, or 8 or something. Unless they are absolutely in love with the quarterback prospect and he's there, Think of like Bo Nix Denver, Michael Penix Atlanta, where he's not the top rated guy. He might not be QB2, but that team loves and believes and is going to invest everything in that player. If you don't feel that way, in my opinion, I'm just punting. I'm not falling into the trap of, oh, the Jets need a quarterback, so you must draft one in this class because you need one. I don't know. That's like Pittsburgh drafting Kenny Pickett. Well, we need a quarterback. We'll just take him. I just don't like that. Even if you like the guy, I don't like it. You need to love the guy to be drafting someone in the first round, especially in the top 10. So that's just kind of my mindset right now. If the Jets have the first, second, third, fourth pick and a quarterback is there that they love, I really don't mind them going out and making that selection. But if he's not there, I'm not going to force it. It makes no sense. The Jets have way too many holes on this roster. I mean, we had a talent and depth issue with Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, and Michael Carter on this team. So now that those three guys are gone, yeah, that talent gap has not, shrunk at all. I mean, yeah, we added a couple of young wide receivers, but I mean, overall, this team, we're not just, a quarterback away. But let's talk about some of these quarterback prospects here, right? Mendoza, I think, is coming out. I just don't see a situation where Mendoza goes back to school. To me, it makes no sense. I think Dante Moore, who everybody loves, will be going back to Oregon, right? First of all, and we were talking about this back in September, I spoke to two people close to the Oregon program. They're not coaches on the program or anything. And when I was asking about, declaring for the NFL draft, they didn't say no, he wasn't, and he's for sure coming back. But they looked, how should I say it? The response that they gave to me was kind of like, I asked them, it was almost like I asked them, hey, what are you having for dinner in 3 weeks? Like kind of this confused, puzzling type of response is what I got. Like, yeah, that's like the furthest thing on our mind right now. Like nobody's really talking about that. That's not really like a real, this is not a talking point right now within the program. It is focus, it is develop, it is growth, it is perform. That's what it is with Dante Moore. The NFL, again, in my experience, talking to two people, it felt very, again, like that's way on the back burner. Like we will cross that bridge eventually. So based off of those conversations and looking at Dante Moore's backstory, right, 5-star high school kid coming out of Michigan, all the hype around him. He's eyeing Oregon. He goes to UCLA with Chip Kelly because he's like, boom, you can start immediately as a true freshman. Goes to UCLA and flashes for sure. Definitely has some good plays and some good moments, but overall the product wasn't great. And he ends up, the whole UCLA program just gets turned on its head. He transfers to Oregon with the full understanding of, I want to sit, learn, and develop behind Dillon Gabriel for a whole season. And if you look at the track record of Oregon quarterbacks, Bo Nix was like a college quarterback veteran, played in a lot of games with Auburn coming in to Oregon. You can even go back to Justin Herbert, him having the ability to declare, but he goes back to school. Dillon Gabriel obviously had no more eligibility left, so he had to go to the NFL. But the theme here with the Ducks is we're really going to surround you with a lot of help. You already know the NIL is going to be there. I just don't, and also factoring in Dante Moore's age, what is he, 20, 21 years old? I just don't see him. I mean, unless he wins the national championship or something like that and just goes on a tear, and the report back from NFL teams is, hey, you are going to be the number one pick, like Trevor Lawrence, Clemson, Andrew Luck, Stanford, right, where it's just like, boom, there's no questions asked. If you enter the draft, you're the first overall pick. I could see Dante Moore entering then, but right now, I just don't get the vibe. I just don't think he's going to come out. Ty Simpson, though, is a really, really interesting case study. I can't really put my finger on it. It feels very 50-50 right now. I mean, on one hand, he's playing great ball. Like, Ty Simpson is just awesome. Clutch games, going to Missouri, going to Georgia. I understand that LSU is kind of in shambles right now, but just going out and handling them, no problem at all. I mean, the Alabama offense is just so mentally, really the Alabama team is just so mentally strong. And granted, they do have a lot of NFL talent for sure, but it just feels unshakable. An unshakable confidence with Ty Simpson right now. And he's a first-year player. That is so damn impressive, right? For someone to, be in the spotlight at a premier program in the country, to be not only just performing well against SEC opponents, but to, have this Alabama team where they're at right now, where they could very well win the SEC and, behind a first-year quarter. Like, this is pretty insane stuff here that we're seeing from Ty Simpson. Physically, he's not the biggest dude in the world, but, man, working off of play action, feel in the pocket, quarterback mechanics, accuracy, decision-making, clutch gene, right? Having that fourth down throw, that third and goal type of throw, those money downs. Ty Simpson walks up to the line of scrimmage with no issues, no problems. He's not overthinking. He's just a cool customer, man. Just ice water in his veins. Love that about Ty. And again, it's rare for someone to have that if he's not experienced. It's one thing if you're Dylan Gabriel or Jalen Hurts or Bo Nix, or take your pick, Justin Herbert. Jaden Daniels was another one of those types of players that had a lot of college experience under his belt. So you feel like, okay, you know what? This is normal. This is expected. These guys are battle tested. I expect them to not be mentally shaken on a third down, or how to, handle a weird question in a press conference, or how to not get consumed by social media or something like that. But for Ty Simpson to be showing that quality, and he only has 9 starts under his belt in his college career. Yeah, that is impressive. So, again, I think Simpson could be a very, very good NFL quarterback. I think he has a lot of traits, a lot of tools that NFL OCs would like. He seems like an extremely confident, extremely smart player at the position. And we're seeing what Alabama's doing this season. We're seeing the overall production. What does he have? 20 touchdowns to 1 INT. I mean, Ty Simpson has been awesome this season. Absolutely awesome. So you can fully make the argument Ty Simpson should enter this NFL draft. Is that for sure going to happen, though, right? Because at the end of the day, here are the big cons. He only has that one season of starting experience. Now, granted, he sat for 3 years. He's 22 or 23 years old. I believe he's 23 years old. So he is a little bit more experienced, and so you do have that in your back pocket. But does he maybe want to go back? Does he want to get a little bit more development? Does he want to go back and be the guy for Alabama? Maybe they have a disappointing first-round exit. Does he, would that maybe sway his opinion to rejoin the Crimson Tide, DeBoer's offense and whatnot? I guess only time will tell. But again, with Simpson, and also too, you look at the track record of quarterbacks, or track record of success or lack thereof of quarterbacks that enter the NFL draft with sub-20 starts. Trey Lance, Mitch Trubisky, Anthony Richardson. Kyler Murray was one of those players as well, where he was sub-20 starts, but Kyler obviously worked out. But it's not like this long list of quarterbacks that just pan out. It's not a for sure guarantee. So in other words, the team that's going to be drafting Ty Simpson in the event that he does enter, has to put him in a position to actually have success, not this whole save the franchise nonsense, which ironically enough, the Jets constantly do with their young quarterbacks. Drives me crazy. So again, with Ty, I feel like it could go 50-50. Lenore Sellers is another big one. I think for sure Lenore Sellers is another one. I think he's going back to school. I mean, we've been saying it since last season. The South Carolina offense just doesn't feel like it has enough talent, and the fan base is absolutely fed up with Shula, and he just got fired, right? I mean, the offense just, it feels very much, to me at least, like Andrew Luck in Indianapolis, where it's just this, Sellers has to do everything. He has to run and extend plays. He has to hit these crazy throws down the field. He has to keep them in the game. He's constantly getting hit, constantly having to break the pocket. It's just, it just feels hard to watch at points. And Sellers, almost like Cam Ward at Washington State, where you're like, okay, Cam is keeping us in the game. Can we really do something to help him out? And just wasn't really happening. Now, Cam declared for the draft. Word got back that he was thinking, okay, NFL teams were thinking 4th to 5th round pick. So he decommits kind of from the NFL draft, takes his name out of the hat, goes back to school, and transfers over to Miami. So I could easily see Sellers staying at South Carolina or transferring schools, but maybe he just says, screw it. This is a weaker quarterback draft class anyway. I'm going to enter. There's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. The Jets, the Browns, the Raiders, the Saints, like, yeah, and again, Rams potentially could be in the market of drafting their long-term option. A lot of teams out there. So I don't know, maybe Sellers enters, but I'm going to lean towards he stays in school. I also think John Mateer should stay in school. He's just way too erratic for me personally. I just don't know what I'm getting from Mateer. Like that Mateer right now, like in the event that the Jets were to draft him at 3 or 5 or something, to me is just, I just don't like that idea. I feel like Mateer needs more polish at the college level, more consistency, more snaps, more experience. And I just think there needs to be a certain level of consistency with his game that we are getting from Mendoza, we are getting from Dante Moore, we are getting from Ty Simpson here. Not really getting it from Sellers, but again, I think Sellers' situation is different. Mateer just feels too up and down for me. Like incredible play, questionable throw, incredible play, questionable throw for me personally, for the Jets to like fully invest. Like this is going to be the guy, because look, if we draft a quarterback, Mendoza, Simpson, whoever, this year in round 1, the chances of us moving off of that player the following year in 2027, which right now is being talked about as the better draft class with guys like Julian Same, what happens with Arch Manning and whatnot, whatever. Like there's a lot of hype with that class. Dante Moore goes back to school. You're not going to be picking a quarterback in that class if you just take one in the first round this year. So that is something that needs to be on the minds of Darren Mougey in this front office. So really, macro perspective right now, if the Jets lose out and we finish with the first pick, the second pick, the third pick, or something along those lines, and Mendoza or Simpson is there, I really would not mind the Jets to draft that player and to start building around them. However, if we get the 9th pick or the 6th pick or the 7th pick, I'm not forcing it. I'm not forcing it at all. Or I'm not feeling the pressure like, oh my gosh, with that second first round pick, do we package that to move back up into the first? Like, I would rather just build out the team for another season, go out and land, some solid day one impact starters at positions of need. We need edge. I would say we would need one more defensive tackle. We need help at, wide receiver. What's going to happen with interior offensive line, along with quarterback. Maybe a like if Peter Woods is on the board, is that something that the Jets would maybe go down? I think Peter Woods right now, although we don't need a DT, Peter Woods would come in and be the best DT on the team, in my opinion, out of Clemson. So something to think. Ruben Bain, if he's there with the 6th overall pick. Again, we just talked about Arvell Reese. I like David Bailey a lot from Texas Tech. Maybe more so stand-up 3-4 outside linebacker, but I think he has a lot of natural skills for that Red Raider defense. That whole defense is freaking stacked to Texas Tech's defense. It's loaded. And it's funny because you're constantly thinking about like Mahomes and Cliff and Baker and like the air raid offense, Leach with Texas Tech. Now it's like just a brick wall defense. Absolutely crazy. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. What are some of your early thoughts on some of these quarterbacks right now? Do you want one? Should the Jets target one? Or would you rather just pass? Because you can definitely, because I could see the Jets going either way here, whether they finish with that top pick and draft a quarterback, but I just don't want them to force it. There's no need to force it and just, we need a quarterback, might as well take one. 2027 is not guaranteed, just got to take this guy that is okay now, who's QB4 on everyone's board. Just not the way you find a franchise quarterback, in my opinion. And it's not to say that those are the only players in this draft. I mean, you have other guys, right? Hoover from TCU, Sorsby from Cincinnati, Carson Beck from Miami, who Rick Spielman really likes for whatever that's worth. Garrett Nussmeier kind of reminds me a lot of like Jimmy Garoppolo, where he is so accurate. Footwork is great, mechanics are great, but it's like the longer the play goes on, the higher chance of him making a stupid decision goes way up. Just launching it into double coverage, trying to force a ball down the field. It's just, at times, it's very difficult to watch Nussmeier if he's trying to extend and make a play. It's just like you're holding your breath. Like, what are we doing? Just like Jimmy G back in the day. When Garoppolo is on time and in rhythm, everything was smooth. But when he starts like trying to scramble and extend, or gets all panicky in the pocket and just starts, launching these balls over the middle of the field, it like that's where you would see like the multi-interception games. And same thing with Nussmeier. So yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts, and as always, go Jets.